And assalamu alaikum. We're back to part 2 of the historical significance of the Elijah Muhammad House, also known as Sajda House, that is now going to be included on the National Historic Registry. And if you missed part 1 with my brother, student minister Abdul Halim, and student minister brother Jamil, and student minister Naya, join us. We're going to come back this time and talk some more about the significance and relate a little history to you. So we got a few people. Let's see. Here we go. This is Naya. We're going to bring her back. I'm going to go back with Naya. And then we got, that's Naya. All right, Sister Naya. Assalamu alaikum. Who else should I be accepting? Do you know who else is coming on? There's a couple of people requesting. Let's see. Okay,
Brother
there's
Jamil.
Yep. Somebody named Sister Tawana. Is that a guest or no? Maybe they just accidentally.
Not that I know of.
Okay, so that's Brother Jamil. And I know at some point we're going to have Brother Askia and a couple of other people. So assalamu alaikum, everyone. We are back. Part 2. To the historical significance of the Elijah Muhammad House, also known as Sajda House. Y'all enjoying this discussion?
I am.
I am.
I'm learning a lot. I'm liking the names, just the names. And somebody in the chat room named, I'm with Farrakhan all day 365.
Oh, it is?
Well, alaikum salam to you and to all of us. Sister Yariva from out in Michigan. Good to see you, sister. Wa alaikum salam. Jay Nicole. So many people from all around the country. And as you said just a moment ago, sister, we've already been joined by our auspicious brother in Houston, Texas, Brother Abdul Halim Muhammad. And there he is. And we also may hear, if things go right, we actually hear from Brother Askia Muhammad tonight. Oh, I'm with Farrakhan all day 365. Is none other than our brother Mark. It's D's. Okay.
Deez,
so
assalamu alaikum. I would never have known. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Mark. So Sister Naya.
Go ahead, Brother Mark. That's my man there.
Man.
Woo!
I always talk about how different the 90s and the early 2000s were because of how rapidly the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was moving around. And I remember how we would just be like, if we could just go over in the corner and take a quick nap. Like there was no like, I get off at this time, or I got time to go do something else, or he was at the palace all the time. Maybe went to the farm every once in a while, but we would be lucky to take a little tiny nap. But when I think about, and just seeing Brother Mark D's on here, when I think about just the soldiers that made us and the level of endurance and the muscle for endurance that it built in us, I believe Allah knew exactly what he was doing at that time with us. So Sister Naya, take it away.
Yes, ma'am. Welcome back, everybody. So we left off. Student Minister Abdul Halim was going to answer the question, what is the significance of having a Black woman as the spearhead of this project?
Well, it is a test for all of us that we pray doesn't turn into a trial for some of us. The test is, the examination is, have we studied, lived, and practiced sufficiently not to be blinded or ill-affected by the blinding touch of Satan, to whereas we can't see God operating in a female. Because, Brother Jamil, earlier today I was talking to somebody and I pulled out the Monahan report, where Daniel Patrick Monahan, the former senator of New York, at that time he was in the administration, was studying about the Black family and saying it was a time for action. He saw the Black man being destroyed and what it would lead to, which is eventually now the welfare state. So the test is now that we've been socially engineered and our women have been going to school, got professional jobs, and the brothers in prison, the brothers that don't have the same opportunity. You can go on any of these HBCU campuses or even the predominantly white campuses other than the athletes. Brothers. I was in the medical center. Houston has the largest medical center in the world. I was in the medical center visiting somebody on yesterday, and guess what? I hardly seen any black men in any significant roles. Everybody I saw greeting me and screening me and all that by the time I got up where I was. So the test is, can we pass this test and not make it a trial? Can we take orders from a woman? I don't know. Do we have?
Uh-oh, I think Brother Halim is freezing.
Brothers.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's back.
Y'all hear anything I said?
You said, can we take orders from a woman? And then...
Oh, you heard that part. Okay, then you must have heard all the rest. The bottom. And that is a principle of our religious order, if you want to call it that. Then how do we best practice it than to show through this sister and other sisters that in fact is indeed a principle that this is a small example of that axiom, of that principle, and it becomes a test that we pass, then the nation is getting ready to go up to the whole nother level, and I love it.
All praises to Allah.
Did you hear anything I said? Because y'all like, your screens are doing funny stuff.
Yes, sir. We heard enough to understand your point. But no, I hadn't even thought about it like that. That's a really good point, because I know as a woman myself, it's beautiful to see a woman, any woman that's in a higher role, but I hadn't thought about the male perspective of that. And I'm not going to go into the male ego because we know enough about that, but I hadn't thought about that. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. There's so many, and Brother Halim, there are not just Sister Nana backing Sister Sajda, but so many other great women, so many other teammates in this cause who are dynamic and who do not let other people's limited understanding of the capabilities of their minds because of gender limit them from anything that they do. So Sister Sajda's there, and she has a Sister Lisa R. Muhammad with her, and she's got a Sister Aletha with her, and she's got a team of crack professionals who handle the business daily. They get it done. When we all get together, there's no big I's and little U's. And to your credit, Sister Sajda, management style wise, we all know who the spearhead is, but she sits us at a round table and then listens to our suggestions, comments, etc., weighs them, adds them to a changeable document, and as we work the idea out and sharpen it, it gets down to what we're all going to act on, and action points are then carried into fruition by the team. See, that's a wise way of leadership. You can tell she's been informed by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his teacher and his God, because she doesn't lead in the manner of Vince Lombardi. She's not leading us as if she were, what's the guy, Phil Jackson from the Bull. No, she's leading us according to a righteous principle, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing for all of us. You see, you want to follow Minister Farrakhan, but you don't want to follow or hear or listen to nobody else. You must have screwed your ear on the right ear hole. You're not listening properly. This is the time for us to stand up. And so, Sister Naya, your question is real. It's a real question. How these things begin to unfold, and the majesty as a witness for what I saw in the development of this project with my own eyes. what I heard with my own ears. I heard doubters, naysayers. I heard people who came around and thought we couldn't do it. I heard other people that might have wanted to do it, but their meaning and their motive may have been a little bit different. There are people who wanted to partner with us, but they only believe that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's a thing of the past. Sister Sajda said, no, the Elijah Muhammad house, the Sajda house, is a place of living history, a sacred space where Elijah Muhammad lives. And because he lives, so now we too can live. Man, it's an important day. It really is. I feel, let me tell you how good I feel about it. I'm just going to toast you. I think, you know, this is lemonade, that
Brother,
cool.
where's the cat?
Yeah, right.
This is lemonade, that refreshing drink. But I live glad for you all, because you are doing what you're supposed to do. So tonight, that beautiful young mind of yours, let it develop. Let yourself go and do everything of righteousness that you want to do. There's no limitation on you. According to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the woman in Islam can do anything she wants to do, as long as it does not bring disgrace on herself and her nation and her family. Do what you want to do. Do it right, do it well, and let Allah use you to lift the entire tone of the discussion. Here's to you all.
All praises due to Allah.
So Brother Jamil was actually going to be one of our correspondents in the field, and he was going to stand in front of a liquor store talking about the transformative qualities of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I told him, I said, don't you go in the store, and make sure you make it look like and make it clear that you are outside on a transformation mission.
And not from the inside. Yeah. The weather's so bad in D.C. today, the winos are staying wherever they stay. Nobody going out today. 60-mile-an-hour winds and rain flying off the Chesapeake Bay. It's not a fit night out for man or beast. But tonight, in this place where we are, we're coming together to talk about an accomplishment made possible by the blessing and providence of Allah. Coming together tonight to talk about a living Christ, a living Mahdi, whose power and presence is felt. And my sister opens herself up to it and says, do you like this color of the walls? Do you like this drapery pattern? What about this tile over here? See, that's a conversation of a granddaughter to her grandfather saying, Pop, do you like it? If you like it, I love it. I'll help you do it. See, that's love, that's intimacy, that's family. Nobody can break that up. And even separation of years and decades from the physical company of one another cannot break it. You said something earlier, Brother Halim. I'm going to yield back the balance of my time to the gentlelady from Illinois. But let me just say this before I go. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan once corrected me about something that I did not know I had even done. And when he told me what he was doing, I understood it. You were there, Brother Halim. We were in Mas Mariam. This is in 1980, 89 or so. I was 3 years old. But we were in the mosque that year, and we were seated in the ministry section as the minister was teaching. You know how deacons bear witness at church. Stay right there. Yes. Whatever. Or they bear witness at the mosque. Teach hard. Make it plain, black man. I was listening to a point that the minister struck, and I thought about, my heavens, that's a good point. So I said, whoo, my Lord. Right? Like the Lord bless us. But the minister stopped, turned around, and looked at me and said, brother, what do you mean? I'm not your Lord. Now, that's not what I meant. I didn't mean that he was the Lord. I was saying, thank the Holy Ghost. But he understood that somebody could have picked up a pebble of idolatry off the beach. And you like that one, Brother Halim, pebbles in the beach?
Brother, you are walking thesaurus. You're the etymological dictionary. I mean, PhD, but you got the PhD, brother, because you can pile it high and deep.
No, no, I'm not piling nothing on you. Let me tell you something. This is the truth.
Well, finish that point, because you got me fired up now, and Sister Wendy gonna have to intervene. Go ahead.
Lord, I'm none of your Lord. I am a Muslim like you. He, I'm striving to represent and work out my own salvation. I control neither harm nor benefit for myself. How could I ever control it for you? That's not what I was to. But you know, I didn't stand up and say that's not what I meant. I stood right there. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, a teaching that I could share with everyone. The reason why we're with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is because he is not trying to create a cult of character. He's not trying to create that. He's trying to teach us to be Muslims. And so he is so sweet, so wonderful, so powerful, so beautiful that he moves himself out of the way and connects the poor black man and woman in the mud with the Most High Lord of all the world. And then when that connection is made, he steps out the way so God can show his wonder in what used to be a group of just congealed mud. That,
You know, it's interesting that you talk about that, because when I think about the minister and his way, excuse me, it's dusty in here, and how just watching him build is a perfect example on how to do big projects, because all of us are working towards the big assignment, the big project, and a lot of us just don't know where to start or what to do. But in looking at that man and how he built and rebuilt the Nation of Islam, and just how he functioned, it's just like today when the commission said, well, we want you to put a sentence in your narrative about the original owner of the home. And I thought about immediately, he came to mind, and I said, absolutely, we respect that. You know, we respect that. His history is significant. And so we will list a sentence in there. And so just learning those types of things, because sometimes we think every time the bell rings, it's our fight. And every time somebody says something, we got to fight. But you got to learn how to think strategically so you can see straight, if that makes sense. Because if you get caught up down here in the weeds and worrying about all the small stuff, which you never see the minister do, then you never really get to the bigger picture, and you never get that growth and development that you're looking for. Sister Naya?
Yes, ma'am. So, all praises to Allah. Yes, ma'am, Sister Sasha. So, I remember before we ended our first session, you were mentioning the Elijah coin. So, how can we purchase our Elijah coin? So, where can we find those at?
So let me tell you what the Elijah coin is. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said to me that one day he was walking down the driveway of this house with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he pointed to a tree. And he said, one day they'll find out who I am. One day when they find out who I am, they'll rip the bark off the trees. And I thought, well, we claim to know who he is. So let's start ripping bark off of the tree. Let's start preserving everything. So we're not throwing away anything. We got windows over there that we're putting little plaques on that we're going to offer for sale that were original windows. Windows where the minister had his vision and came to that third floor window. We have those windows. We have limestone that we're making benches out of that'll be outside. We had an old mantle that we took and created a table, which will become like a meeting table. We had copper that was on the downspouts and the gutters that we couldn't reuse, that we took off, we cut it, and we created these commemorative coin. Each coin is graded and has its own registration number. And what we're working on now is, with this registration number, you will become a part of the NFT. So you'll be able to get some digital currency with your registration number. So we only have a limited number of these. So that means that our currency at a certain point is going to be worth a lot because the demand, if you know anything about econ, if you took econ 101, the demand for our currency will be high because there's a limited number of these. So I suggest that you go to sajdahouse.com. That's SAJDAHHOUSE. Put in the discount code HEM4847 and you'll get the coin for $375. It will be worth way more than that. Not only because it's a collector's item, but because it will at some point become digital currency. So let's see, we can pin that. There we go. Let me also say something to you about the packaging on this. And some of you have heard me tell this story. I think I told it on Brother Halim's show. When we first, Brother Tori and Imam Sultan came up with the design, and then Brother Abnar came up with the idea like, hey, let's put the house on the back. And so everybody was just kind of throwing in their ideas. And it took me 4 months to find a refinery that would even say yes. And I'm not talking about 4 months of sitting around waiting. I'm talking about calling just about every refinery in the country. And they all said, we'll make you a coin, but we're not taking that old copper and cutting it down and cleaning it and making a coin. But the last refinery that I called, I was like, okay. She said, I've never done anything like this before. But I'll help you. And once we got the mold together and she was working on it, we had the copper cut and we bundled it. And then Brother Jay, who's the engineer for the palace next door, he drove it up there for me, dropped it off. She then cleaned it and melted it at 1,983 degrees and created a mold, create the coins. So then I said, well, how am I going to present the coins to the buyers? And I came up with this beautiful satin box. It was gorgeous. It was a beautiful box. It opened up and it had the gold foil in there and had the coin laid up in there. And I think it was about $21 a coin. And I was like, oh man, this is going to do it. This is beautiful. And that particular evening, I held up the box because I had gotten a sample. And I said, I held it up like this. And I said, you know what? I have a similar box and I'll show you about the size of it. This is for something else, but it was about this size. And the coin was going to be sitting in there. And I held the box up and I said, dear Holy Apostle, do you like this? Are you okay with me packaging the coin that you inspired me to create and lined everything up? Do you like this? I said, if you do, make it plain, make it clear. And the place I was getting the boxes from was in China. And over the course of that time, Sister Naya, that night, they had emailed me, but I didn't see it because, you know, it's nighttime over here. When I woke up, they said, oh, we're sorry, but the cost of the boxes is now going to be $85 a box. And it's going to take us 4 months or 6, some ridiculous amount of time for delivery. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, I guess that's the plain and the clear. So then I said, okay, dear Holy Apostle, I heard that, sir. So now I just need to know what you want, because now I don't know. You know, I don't know what you and Allah want. So, you know, I'm just having this conversation. So by 1 o'clock, the woman who runs the refinery called me. And so she starts talking. She said, things are going well. They look so beautiful. I'll take a picture, send it to you. She says, oh, by the way, do you want them graded? And I was like, what's graded? So she started explaining to me that when these coin graders grade the coins, they evaluate your materials, they make sure that they're unique, and they assign a specific registration number to each coin. They seal it so that it'll last for years. And she said, but they normally do not do this for coins that are not minted, but they're willing to do it for you.
Wow. All praises.
And I said, Okay, there you go. I got it. So that's how we come to this packaging. And I've actually had people email me and say, well, why is it just in this thing? I thought I was going to open it up and it was going to sing to me. But oh, it's singing because of what it represents and what it means. And we're in the process of creating digital currency with that registration number that's on the back. So I suggest you get 2 or 3 of them.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And we're all over the country. Want to remind you again, sajdahouse.com, SAJDAHHOUSE.com. Enter the specific marketing code HEM4847. And the process will be expedited for you. There even is a special introductory discount rate still being held at $375. The coin has a trade value to start with at $500, and that has gone up since the initial offering of the coin. However, at $375, that coin as a premium for your support of Sajda House, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House, is a great, great, great acquisition for you and for your family well into the future. It was melted at a temperature of 1,983 degrees Fahrenheit. Everything adds up. 19 is the 2. 83 is the sum total of 1,000 months. 1,000 months equals 83 years. What will make you know what the night of power is? It is better in the night of power than 1,000 months. Every sign, every symbol, and I'm not the number guy. I don't do all the number scientific things. That's great for someone else other than me. But when you can see Allah's hand and hear the coordinator, the arrowhead, the driving force behind this project saying, what do you and Allah want, dear apostle? What is it that you want? See, that language of faith and the words of a believer than the actions of a believer behind their words. I hope we're all learning from what we're seeing here tonight. This is a great day for celebration. A great day for celebration.
Brother Halim, can you talk a little bit about, because as an urban planner, and I'm sorry to jump in here, Sister Naya, but this came to my mind, because we talk about independent, we talk about buying black, we're talking about independently developing and monetizing our own culture. And so things like these coins, selling these coins, they mean something. They symbolize our independence. And how important is it that we monetize and own our own culture through the independent financing of projects like this?
Well, you know, sister, as a planner, there are 5 things that you have to be able to manage. You have to manage human resources.
Yes.
You have to manage financial resources. You have to manage material resources. You have to manage time or scheduling, and you have to manage data. You asked a question about finance. I can tell you, sister, as a planner, I've got a closet full of plans that were paid for by entities, done by consultants, architects, engineers, landscape architects, you name it. But they all sit up in a closet because they were financed. In the end, when I did my doctoral study, my expertise is in equity and in resilience. My premise or my hypothesis is that equity is the basis for resilience.
Equity is the basis for resilience.
Wow.
My brother froze again. But
That's
he said
when he was making it so cool.
I found in a post 9/11, post Hurricane Katrina environment, you had to add civil defense or safety or security, and you had to add emergency management, which was safety. But one of those elements, equity, environment, economy, safety, security, one of those elements had to regulate the others. So I created, instead of a two-dimensional model, I created, Brother Jamil, a pyramid. Equity was the capstone. That was the modifier and the mediator between those elements and the modifier of their behavior. But in the end, when I did my methodology, what I learned quantitatively and qualitatively was that economy trumped all.
Right.
So people did not understand that at the base of what we were taught was not Black nationalism, but it actually was spirituality. However, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad knew that we had to do something for self. So he created an economic model for us that is found, of course, in the economic blueprint, in these publications that came out in 73 and I think 75 called The Accomplishments of the Muslims. He showed us the way in the blueprint, but it was only a blueprint that he used the Muslims for to show the greater nation of Islam, which is all of our people, how we must do it. But it was based upon economics. If we're not economically independent, if we're dependent even as a nation on the International Monetary Fund, if we allow others to finance our freedom, we'll never be free. So we must create our own economics. We must create our own trade and commerce. We must be able to recognize the skills and talents of one another and pay us our market rate. Someone says in their own mind, I see you, you're not typing anything in there, but you're saying, why should I pay $300 for this coin? But you're going to pay $500 for some Gucci or some Poochie at the mall. Why will you pay the white man whatever he asks you to pay, but you want a discount from your brother?
Right.
You want your sister. You don't think of your brother or sister's intellectual capital as being worth paying for. I'll tell anybody, I may do something for you pro bono, but in truth, my loaded rate is $200 an hour. That's on a federal project. But on a commercial project, $500 an hour. When I get in my car to come to your job, if I sign a contract with you, if I get in the car, Sister Wendy, to come to you and you're a half hour away from me, you owe me $250 when I get to your door. So if we don't value or know the value of ourselves according to the market, if we don't understand, then we'll never build anything. So I'm willing to pay whatever price there is for my freedom. Because in the end, like you said, this coin has its own number.
Right.
And when I put that number in our financial system, it's going to have some value. I'll be able to get some food, clothing, shelter, something for that coin.
Yes.
And guess what? You may laugh at me and scoff at Sister at the Saja house for these coins, but then if I show you some worthless paper money with the devil's face on it, you'll value that more than you'll value one that has the Christ picture and the house that he made a nation out of on the back of it. I'm not as articulate as Brother Jamil. I'm more like a blunt force trauma. He's more of like a surgeon he's a laser surgeon. I'm more like blunt force trauma. When it comes to Satan, I'm just going to hit you in the head with a baseball bat. Because the bottom line is, brothers and sisters, is that if we don't love, Mr. Farrakhan said to me once, I said to him about the situation, he said, bro, that's because you all didn't love deep enough. If this fails, which I don't believe it will, but if it did, it's because we did not love deep enough. And to make a point, to further a point that Brother Jamil made before you intervened, Sister Saja, is that when Brother Jamil was pointing out what he said while we were sitting in the minister, and he turned, the minister will do that because he will beat us to death if we start worshiping him.
That's right.
And if we talk about him in the absence of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Master Fard Muhammad, if we don't connect them three together, we're not doing our job as student ministers. But here's the point. Go back to how the minister will teach. On this particular occasion was the first anniversary of the historic Million Man March. We went to the UN. Brother Jamil wasn't there to raise the charity.
Oh.
Our great late brother, Abdul Hafiz, raised the charity.
Okay.
After the event, we went uptown to Sister Captain,
Karima.
oh my God, her house in Harlem.
Karima.
Karima, Sister Karima. Man, God forgive me. We went to her house and we get ready to eat. And we ain't even get the bean soup in our mouth. The minister started wearing our backsides out at the table. Oh my God. He was saying some stuff that went from Judas to Peter to, I mean, and after a while, I couldn't take it no more. I said, Brother Minister, this is like opposite of what Brother Jamil did. I said, Brother Minister, I don't even think like that. I don't think like that. What? He said, brother, you're not the only one at this table.
That's exactly right.
He said that maybe I'm saying it so that you won't be guilty of it.
Mm-hmm.
My point is this, is there are people around this table that did turn on him. There's people around this table that left him. So sometimes the lesson that we're getting, we may be the example that's being made for the other children not to make that mistake.
Yes.
I'm saying to you all, brothers and sisters, that Brother Jamil and I have been around for quite a while. And we've seen the minister go from, Christ's imminent return, he makes all things new, his appeal to the disciples, to the first Savior's Day, where he announced the Honorable Elijah Muhammad still physically alive, and the people who had secured him and been with him in that beginning from 77 to that point said, man, they left, where at our Savior's Day conventions, the panels were full of people who, they weren't in the Nation of Islam necessarily, but they were experts in all of the different movements and different aspects. To the minister being asked by Jesse Jackson to be involved in politics and people getting mad with him and leaving him because they said messenger never got involved in politics. When you build that side your house, you will kill all that. All right.
Right.
The minister going, doing different things, going in and out of the churches, Wi-Fi con in the churches. Others criticizing him because the Masons and the Shriners honored him by putting an apron on. Wi-Fi con wearing an apron. You know what the messenger said about? Man, look here, man. We could put all of what you all think you know about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. If it was gasoline, it wouldn't be enough to fill a Flea's motorcycle to go halfway around a BB. Sometimes y'all need to just be quiet and watch the minister as he moves. He went overseas. He with them Arabs. He with them Muslims. We got Juma prayer. What is he doing? This, that, and the other. Don't understand what this man was born to do. The Messiah is born to bring all. If I be lifted up from the earth, I'll draw all men unto me. And what's happening is he's drawing all men unto him, and we don't even know it. So I'm saying to each and every one of us, as I'm going right back to my original point, is that we got to have some of this earth we can call our own, and we got to have our own economic system. We have to have our own logistical supply chain of food, our own manufacturing. We got to have all of that, which we were taught to have. We got to control everything from the field to the meal. And we have to have a way of financing it in a medium of exchange. All this is an investment in a future medium of exchange in a precious metal, which is copper, which is traded at the Chicago Board of Trade as a commodity, and on the stock market. Copper is traded. There are firms that do copper. There are mining companies that do copper. This copper comes off a sacred house. It has a sacred energy. I'm not spooky. I don't do spook. I don't do spook God. This is very special, and we should be in support of it, even if you don't believe a thing I said. Do you believe that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's house and history should be preserved for our women, our children, and our babies? If you do, then make the investment, brothers and sisters, and go on and get this Elijah coin.
Our brother Real Lyons says he'll be getting his coin today. We want to thank you, brother, for your participation. Back of the Elijah Muhammad House, Sajda House in Chicago. Want to welcome to the line, of course, our brother Tyree is with us, brother Kashif, always good to see you. Our sister Diana from Chicago, Illinois. All of the Muslims who are gathering around this campfire, this electronic campfire, to just have a word, a fireside chat about what it is that just took place today. This has been a magnificent day. And in these last 20 or so minutes, before we have to leave the airwaves, we want to give our sisters plenty of time to talk about what its significance really is in the future and what we're planning, Sister Sajda, Sister Naya, for more progress there in Chicago and throughout Black America. Back to you.
Yes, sir. So I just wanted to add on, Brother Student Minister Abdul Halim worded all of that beautifully, and we have to support one another. And so please purchase your commemorative coins by going to sajdahouse.com. The discount code is HEM4847, and that discount is $375. That's how much you'll be paying. All praises due to Allah.
Right.
But receiving this designation is not just a victory for Sister Sajda or for the Nation of Islam, but it's a victory for all of us as Black individuals. And I mean all of us, because this is Elijah Muhammad's house, whose aim is the reformation of both the Black man and the Black woman. And if it were not for Elijah Muhammad, there would have been no Malcolm X, there would have been no Muhammad Ali, there would have been no Louis Farrakhan, there would have been no Million Man March, there would have been no Black theology, there would have been no Black Panther Party, and I'm sure we could go on and on. So,
a true friend. A true friend. You know that article that they republished that the minister wrote in the Final Call newspaper, I think it came out the week of the messenger's birth anniversary, entitled A True Friend. And that article is so comprehensive. I actually read that on my YouTube channel just to the audience so that people could see the significant impact that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad made on the arts. How he single-handedly taught us to start calling one another brothers and sisters. We stopped calling each other the N-word at least as much as possible, but he started telling us to call ourselves brothers and sisters and see ourselves as brothers and sisters. We stopped using the word Negro and started using the word Black, and Black as a term that united the entire African diaspora.
right.
Whether you were in South America, Central America, Africa, Europe, or North America, Black was a uniting term, and that came from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He inspired studies into melanin and the creation of the Black man and what that melanin means to your immune system, your reproductive system, your DNA. He did that. He inspired a new way of eating that now you see all these books out and they call it intermittent fasting, and you can't even buy navy beans in the store anymore because he introduced the all nutrient life-saving food, the navy bean and navy bean soup. And then there was how we understand that cleanliness is next to godliness. So teaching us how to clean our homes, how to be scientists as women in the kitchen, and understand how to heal our bodies. He talked to us about our weight and exercising. He talked to us about sanitizing our food, how our food, if we still eat meat, should be killed and how it should be slaughtered. All of these are huge impacts that this great friend of ours has had not only on Black people, but on the world.
Is that why it's living history, sister? Is that why you call it living history?
That's why I call it a living museum. And our exhibit space, or our collection of exhibits is called He Lives. Why? Because we're not just talking about the chronological history of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. We're talking about the transformational history, or the history of transformation. And what does that mean? Did Malcolm X become Malcolm X and defeat scholars and present at Harvard and Yale just from reading a dictionary? Or did he meet a man that introduced him to some teachings who also had met a man? Then you say, okay, well, Muhammad Ali, he was already charismatic. He was an athlete. But did that personality have the tenacity and the courage to change history? Was it the way that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad advised the team around Muhammad Ali that changed the entertainment industry, that led to the way that Michael Jordan became a billionaire through endorsements, through our artists and athletes taking more than 20% of their profit? He said, if you're the one doing the boxing and the fighting and the singing and the dancing, you should be getting the bulk of the money. But prior to that, we all saw Django. You saw them fighting in the living room on Django, and what they give them? A beer. And maybe a night with a woman. That was all they got. And then they came back to fight again. Maybe you got to sleep in the big house. So people like to start rumors and say, well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they was taking Ali's money. Ali didn't have that kind of money. That wasn't even, and I don't even have to know Ali to know that, because that just wasn't, if you study industry, how the industry worked at that time. Uh-oh, somebody just bought a coin. Y'all heard that?
Go.
So that was not how the industry worked at that time. That wasn't how contracts were structured at that time. These Black athletes, and then they were Negro or colored athletes, they were not making 80% of the purse. They were not getting endorsements. They did not have sponsorships. That was the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that mined that out of the team that was working closely, including his son, with Muhammad Ali. So there's so many industries. When you start talking about the clergymen who came over from Boston after that great speech that our leader did in Boston, and they came here and they started talking about the economic development aspect of the church that made the church engine run. I'm not talking about prosperity ministry. I'm talking about, how do you independently fund a church? And what's the economics and the ecosystem around a church and their impact on introducing goods and services into the community that solve problems? That came from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Then you start talking about independent education. The followers of Muhammad went to jail to establish independent education. But now we all want to walk around and send our children to private school like we've been doing that. No. You weren't doing that, not as a Black person, before Elijah Muhammad. And then what about the Muslims that come over from the East, and those of us that walk around and we wear our hair covering? I went to the DMV. They said, can you take that off? I said, no, I'm a Muslim. They said, oh, just sign this paper. You couldn't do that before Elijah Muhammad. You couldn't walk down the street and wear your hijab and say, Assalamu alaikum, list your name in the phone book as so-and-so Muhammad and Ali, and list your name on the internet now before Elijah Muhammad. This man is a true friend to Black people, to Muslims, and to the world. When he told us to separate, people laughed. Or where we gonna live, in shacks? We're gonna have shanty towns? But why did he say separate? Because he knew that we could not get along. And we just constantly turn on the news and we see Black men being killed and murdered over and over and over again. Little Black girls who are missing. No one goes to look for them. Hundreds in DC and Chicago. We don't know if it's body parts. We don't know what they doing. They're just missing. Is it sex trafficking? But the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, separate, police your own communities. See, so if we were on top of it, we'd know who took that little girl. So when we talk about the transformative qualities, we want to create an environment. And the beauty out of this pandemic with the development of this museum is, yes, we'll have some in-person tours, But you won't be able to just walk up and knock on the door and come in. You'll have to go online, register your tour, but a lot of the tours are going to be virtual. So you'll be able to go online and see and take a virtual tour. You'll be able to click on some of the shows. Brother Jamil mentioned a fireside chat. Well, imagine a fireside chat with your favorite entertainers or athletes, where we are talking about excerpts from the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, having roundtable discussions, fireside chats, teas, table talks, garden talks. See, we're talking about helping you to become inoculated against the grafting process that exists right now in the world. See, this cancel culture is a grafting process.
There's so much that we need to
I think
understand.
my battery is about to go out on me, but that's okay. We're about to go out anyway. It's 4:49. We got a few minutes, so.
Sister Sajda, before we go, let me just put this in context, Brother Holly, Sister Naya, if you don't mind. The National Register of Historic Places contains 94,077 locations nationwide. 94,077. Of those 94,077, the number associated with Black history in particular are 180.
That's it?
180. Yes, 100. That's what I said, sir. 180. And this is the research department. Sister Tisha and the research team, they put this together. Now look here. Out of that 180, if you divide by 51 for 50 states and the District of Columbia, that leaves 3.53 designated historic sites on the National Register of Historic Places specific to the history, life, blood, sweat, tears, servitude, suffering, and death of the so-called American Negro. 3.3 places per state on average. Do you know how important what just happened today actually is?
Allahu Akbar.
That the one site among all 94,077 listings on the National Register of Historic Places, that this one site is a place, a living museum, where the teachings taught in that beautiful sacred space are still today affecting those who hear the message and giving us life, and that more abundantly. This is why what took place today is bulldozer powerful. This is why what took place today is rocket fast. This is why we're going to astronomical heights with the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because it is not for yesterday. It is for today, for tomorrow, and forever. This teaching that my sister has helped to put us in, expose us to, with her team there in Chicago, this is an important message. So you have a chance when we finally open up. You, dear viewer, you have a chance to be as early as the third person to go into the museum. I'm going to be number one. Now, Brother Halim says that he's going to be number one, but you can be free. Just get there. Be like Adam said, get there. Find a way to be in that space. You went in, Brother Halim. I was telling Sister Sajda that for 40-something years, my friends and I, old Brother Marvin and Brother Anthony and Brother Earl from Philadelphia and Brother Jeffrey and the whole crew, you remember? Brother Anthony from D.C. and Brother Ernest and all of us, we would go and stand on the street outside and look at 4847, knowing that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad moved the world from the dining room table of that house. We couldn't go in then, but look at what has happened. Over time, Now Allah is giving us an opportunity to visit there, 4855. And as my sister said, her will was to do, to enshrine the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and his valedictorian together. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the top student of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, our exemplar today, a life-giving son to us today, is now joined with his father. And we are causing all of the nations to recognize that this is what has taken place. My sister Sajda, my sister Naya, don't think we didn't see you there, Sister Architect. We saw you. We saw you in the courtyard. We saw.
Let me just say this.
Ooh.
We, inshallah, 4847, 4855, our goal, and Sister Amin and I have been working together on this, is to make this the baddest corner in the world. When you drive down this block, you will not have seen anything this beautiful.
Oh my.
That's our goal. So Sister Naya, we're gonna let you have the last word these last couple of minutes, because this sparring between ministers and all that been happening. So we're gonna let you get in there. Sister Naya said, I ain't in that.
I'm just listening to the beautiful words that you all are sharing. I feel so enlightened. I absolutely love hearing you all's stories. I love hearing your different stories, like the story with the minister, the story with the coins. I love hearing all of the background stories, and I'm sure that all of our viewers do as well, especially when it comes to the Sajda house. The stories with the walls and the plaster. I absolutely love it.
Well, we thank you all. This has been a monumental day. Allah is so beautiful. He remains Allahu Akbar. It's just, I'm just speechless. I'm still taking it all in. And in the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the work has just begun. Because as we open our awareness to what this means, we now have to respond so that we make the work that we're doing worthy of what it is and what it truly means. So thank you to those of you who have already purchased a coin. I heard a little cha-ching there a couple of times. I really, really appreciate it. They hit your sister with them big bills, them three-figure bills all the time, but we're going to get through it. So thank you, Brother Jamil. Thank you, Brother Halim. You all have been just my support system since I was a shorty in this. I'm sorry, I had to tell
You're still 16.
Okay, all right, yeah.
That's why it's called Muslim Girl Training and General Civilization class.
Okay.
When you're in the presence of God, you always are a girl. That's why you always be 16, sister. But the way, I just thank you for inviting us to be together. Brother Jamil already know I love him, and Sister Naya, it's good meeting you. It lets me know that our nation has a bright future. And Sister Sajda, you keep on keeping on, sister.
Yes,
and know that, if they mess with you, tell them my cousin down there, I got some cousins down there,
my
some cousins in
down
them
south, y'all keep messing.
down south that will come up there.
Don't forget about East Coast cousins. They kind of treacherous too.
Okay.
East
Coast
Coast
cousins.
too.
We all from, y'all just up south. That's all, y'all.
They are upper south. They are up south. Thank you
all praises due to Allah.
Thank you for sharing this moment with me. All praises due to Allah. Thank you to everyone.
Congratulations, sister. All praises due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And thank you for your hard work and sacrifice and getting to this milestone. Now that we've done that, we'll give you a hand clap. Let's get back to work.
Yes. Praise be to Allah. Thank you, Sister Naya. I love you.
Love you, sis.
Okay, stay strong.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.